Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dottie's Kitchen. I'm Vanessa, and if you've joined us before, you know this is a show where I cook all of my Grandma Dottie's handed down recipes, a new recipe each week. So sit back, relax, and let's get started with this week's recipe. All right, so this week we're gonna be cooking sauerkraut pierogies. As you can see, I have my grandma's actual recipe card here written in her handwriting. I smell it. It even smells like her house, so it's really nostalgic for me. Pierogis are Eastern Central European, kind of like a little hot pocket that you boil, and you can put savory or sweet filling in there. This week we're of course going to do sauerkraut, so it's going to be a savory pierogi. All right, so the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to make the filling, and really all the filling is for the sauerkraut pierogi is 2 pounds of sauerkraut. This is already measured out. It's 2 pounds, and some chopped onion, and fried those together in a little bit of oil. And I know there's probably some great cooking techniques for cutting up onions, some great kitchen techniques, but really it just doesn't even matter. That's what my grandma Dotte taught me. So however works best for you. All right, here we go, the hard part. Okay, so grandma's recipe calls for boiling the sauerkraut and then draining it. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but it's what her recipe calls for, so that's what we're gonna do. The sauerkraut has boiled for a few minutes. Again, the recipe doesn't say how long to boil it, so I'm just guessing a couple minutes because I don't want the flavor to get diluted. So now I'm just going to drain the sauerkraut. All right, so these smells in the kitchen are getting really fragrant. We have frying onion, we have boiled sauerkraut. If you know anything about either of those smells, you know it's really potent in our kitchen right now, but it smells really good. So as this onion's frying and it's getting just a tad bit brown, I am now going to add the drained sauerkraut to the onion in the pan. And we're just gonna cook those together for a few minutes, just to kind of meld the flavors. And it calls for just a little pinch of salt. That's what her recipe says, a pinch. So just a little flavor in there. And now our filling's about done. I'm gonna finish mixing this, and then I'm gonna put it aside and make the dough for the pierogies. So we're going to mix the flour, the water, an egg, and again, not a measurement, but just a pinch of salt. So I've started mixing it with a spatula, and what I find with a lot of dough is sometimes it's just easier to get in there with your hands and mix it up. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop the spatula and just get in there with my hands and make sure it's all mixed up. All right, as sometimes happens with grandma's recipes, is you have to go a little off script. So you can see the dough that I'm mixing with my hands looks a little dry. I can tell it's not gonna come together the way that we need it to all the way in order to roll it out into this thin papery dough. So a little bit, and add a little bit more water. Once we've done that, I kind of pat it out into a flat piece, and then we're gonna roll it. And the recipe says roll it paper thin. Roll it out paper thin, so that's what we are going to do. And the recipe calls for cutting the dough now into 3-inch squares. So I have my handy dandy pizza cutter. Our 3-inch square here. We're gonna put a little bit of the filling. Again, the recipe calls for a teaspoon, but if you want to do just a tad bit more than that, that's probably a teaspoon and a half. Dip your fingers in the water and make sure you get all the edges just a little bit moist. And then you're gonna fold it into a triangle shape. So pick up this one side, fold it over until the dough meets, and press it together. And be careful, if you have any filling that is spilling out, it's going to prevent your dough from sealing together. So you want to make sure that your filling is in there completely and not spilling out. And then you take your fork and you just want to crimp the edges. It'll help seal it and also give it that pretty little crimped edge look. And voila. Okay, so we have our bowl of dough pierogies. We're boiling a pot of water here, and the next instructions on the recipe say to place them in the water and boil them for 5 to 7 minutes. So of course we're gonna have to do this in batches. So we're gonna pull these out and plop them onto this plate. Turn my burner off. Make sure they're good and drained of water. And then they'll be ready for taste testing. All right, and there you have it, sauerkraut pierogies. I hope you guys had fun today. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you learned something in this video, and we'll see you next week for another sweet treat of European origin, which is Fatiman. We'll see you next week. Thanks.